With some of these brands and new releases, you just know that their whole board is full of boring white men that have never touched a lipstick or an eyeliner in their bland wasp golfing on Sunday live. Hi friends, hi, my name is Mia and this is my virtual vanity, a place where we both love makeup and we're quite critical of it. Today we are going to do a good all anti-haul because it's been quite a second since I did the last one. You know, I've had enough positivity after my Zeesea review. It's time to return to origins. It's time to return to the sass and me being mean. So let's get started. What the fuck is happening at NYX headquarters? Did they fire all of their good designers? Are they holding the design team at gunpoint and telling them that unless they create the most ugly products that they can, they're never going to see their families again? Is someone bribing someone else at headquarters and telling them that unless they make the poorest design decisions, something bad will happen to their dog? What is going on? Because I feel that this NYX and Tetris Collaboration palette is going to start talking to me in the most deep, otherworldly, Cthulhu-like voice and start saying that
we are legion for we are many.
80 pans of nothing, so many repeat shades. Why is this palette so big? Who at NYX headquarters is a size queen? I just need to know. I just want to talk, that's all. Besides the fact that this is a complete abomination and a disrespect to palettes everywhere, when are you going to use 80 shades in one singular palette? Where are you going to store this? You're going to get decision fatigue before you even create a couple of looks with this. Instead of doing something cute and original, like, I don't know, Tetris shaped packaging, or having, you know, square packaging so it's easy to store, but then you would have color pairings based on the Tetris shapes. So I'm going to do a rough drawing, but maybe something like this would be a prettier collab. But no, they decided to just spill M&Ms on a table and say, yeah, these are the pans, these are the colors that we want to put. I don't know how to tell NYX this, but just going bigger is not always better. Speaking of bad collaborations, Maybelline Sailor Moon collaboration, what a disappointment. What a sad, sad state of affairs. Maybelline can't even turn their heads left and right to look at the other markets, foreign markets, and see how they're absolutely killing it with the anime collaborations. Just look at Asian brands and you will see 1,000 amazing different ways to transport an IP to makeup reality. No, they just went, let's just slap stickers on what we already have. Slapping stickers on already existing packaging totally screams Sailor Moon. Never mind the fact that that sticker is probably going to peel off by the end of the year. Pathetic. Sephora Coach collab is yet another abomination. It's an insult to my eyes, to my good aesthetic sense. I just want the person who thought of this to be relegated to the kindergarten design department. There is a category of cutesy makeup that works, you know, like even if it's cutesy, even if it has a certain aesthetic, it just works for people that have that kind of makeup mood. But this just gives me shopping mall toy aisle vibes. Like the cheap toys, not even the most expensive ones that you would beg your parents for. A dinosaur, shark, I don't even remember because my brain tried to flush the image out of my head because it was just so goddamn ugly, so uninspired, such a huge cash grab, so completely out of left field. You would think that I had collaborated with Toys R Us. And you can bet your ass that this is not good quality. So why even bother buying a randomly toy-shaped palette when you know the quality is going to be subpar? Like, why do you want to do this to yourself? Another palette that makes me irrationally mad is the Tarte Sugar Rush palette. And it's simply because of the layout. The pan shapes are fine, but I dislike how the pans are not completely aligned concentrically, so all of the thinner parts of the pan is aligned to the center, so you have this circular type of motion. Do you know what I mean? I'll probably Photoshop it so you can see. But this just looks so gimmicky and so chaotic. I'm not going to talk about the color scheme. It's Tarte. Tarte has a certain target audience. I'm sure that for someone this color scheme looks fine. But whoever designed how those pans sit in the palette needs to be taken out back and shot in the name of good artistic composition. Too Faced Teddy Bear is giving me unsolicited, unconsensual daddy's little girl kink vibes. And what I mean by that is that I feel like I'm being unconsensually involved in someone's public display of that particular kink. Like, there is cutesy makeup, as I said previously, and I don't necessarily mind that Too Faced has done it successfully previously in the past, but the ad copy for this just is so sleazy. Why are you trying to associate children's toys, aka teddy bears, with sexy ad copy, using words such as sultry, sensual, this whole wordplay based on being naked and bare, and just why? When it's such a cutesy, childlike design. The palette is just a standard neutral palette, nothing new that we've not seen from Too Faced before. I don't care. It's just the branding of this that particularly bothers me, because it just keeps me off. Ugh. Huda is making me a favor and preventing me from buying more of her palettes, which I am infinitely grateful for, because historically I have really enjoyed Huda's formula and her Obsessions palettes in particular. Like, I really like the tiny ones. I have like 3 of them, and every new release of those I had to fight myself from not buying more. This time she's coming out with a tortoise brown collection. There's 3 variations of the palette with this pretty tortoise-like packaging, but they're all shades of different ways of brown. Mustard browns, caramel browns, and chocolate browns. And if you're the person that likes to wear neutrals on the daily and you need a new neutral palette, these actually look very beautiful. They're just not for me, because I have plenty of neutrals in my collection that I don't use nearly enough. And while these would be neutrals in a formula that I would, 90% chance that I would enjoy, I just don't need more. I definitely do not need more neutrals. I have to say that the mustardy yellowish one is tempting me, but I will have to anti-haul this on the basis that I probably won't wear it enough. However, as I said, this has a certain target audience, so if you like neutrals, you might like this. Depends if you like Huda's formula or not, to be honest. ColourPop is yet again trying to milk every intellectual property that they can find. At a certain point, I'm starting to consider whether or not they're so willing to beat a dead horse that they will just ask Disney for any crumb of anything to collab with. There was that whole Bambi collection, and it's old news at this point. I don't want to talk about it, it's boring. And then there's this Lizzie McGuire collection, which has gotten people on Twitter up in arms for some reason. This is clearly targeted at millennials, right? Or people that were old enough to watch Lizzie McGuire but young enough to understand it. Myself, I never was that person, because by the time Lizzie McGuire aired in Romania, I was already a full-on weeb. The type of weeb that would try to Naruto run to see how effective it was, and the type of weeb that would unironically use baka instead of stupid in sentences. When is it my turn to be happy and escape my past? Some people were like really mad that, oh, this collection is going to be sold out because it's going to be bought by Gen Zers with too much pocket money, and us millennials are never going to get anything ever. I'm like, it's colored dust. Like, is everything okay at home? Are you alright? Do you need therapy? Do you need some avocado on toast? Like, what is eliciting this type of reaction from so many people mad that they will not get a Lizzie McGuire palette? Like, it's fine to regress to childhood hobbies and childhood interests, but y'all need to chill a bit. Speaking of this collection, for what it is, outside of the intellectual property, which I don't care about, you know what? It was sad that this and the other palette that I want to talk about, the limoncello, the sad thing is that these look quite unique in their lineup. Even though, for example, this Lizzie McGuire one kind of dupes the ColourPop Sailor Moon partially, the thing is that if they had not released 100 other palettes, these would be as unique in their collection as ColourPop Good Sport was at the time. And it's sad because I can look at these objectively aside from ColourPop's latest releases and say, yeah, these are interesting palettes. But looking in hindsight at how much shit ColourPop has put out, you simply cannot appreciate them for what they are in any sort of way, because the brain automatically goes, ugh, just another ColourPop release. And if you have plenty of ColourPop already, guess what? You probably have dupes for everything here. And ColourPop has been sus as of lately. I have a video on that if you're interested, so go check that out. It's linked down below. The Limoncello palette, I actually find that is a really cute neutral palette because it's got pops of certain interesting things. So it's got those pops of yellows and mustards and some duochromes that go really well together, that pop of blue. Like it's a spin on a neutral palette that you don't see very often. With those yellow accents, it's really, really pretty. As I said, taken outside of the context of ColourPop literally releasing everything as if they're trying to sacrifice their whole powder collection to the devil, and the bigger the sacrifice, the bigger the success. Outside of that, it looks pretty, but as is, I am exhausted with ColourPop stuff. I really am. Speaking of collabs, e.l.f. collabed with Chipotle? I don't know how to pronounce that. I've never eaten that in my life, so it's strange how such a random collab actually looks so good. e.l.f. respects themselves. Like, they could have just slapped the sticker on a very neutral palette and called it a day, but this color story actually works. Actually makes sense. It's actually something I would buy if I did not have all of those colors 10 times over in formulas I enjoy. Like, what kind of upside down world is this where a fucking Chipotle collab inspired by burrito filling makes the most sense out of the latest releases color-wise? What kind of timeline is this, yo? I want to talk about something a bit generic, Morphe, and not just the Morphe palette, but rather their packaging rebranding. So, you know, they used to have those black packaging that just screamed outsourced and private labeled. They've started changing that packaging to be colored. So one plain color, and then it has like the palette name, like, I don't know, 9S, 9K, 18P, or whatever. I still think this is a miss. Morphe just keeps trying to do the bare minimum. They're trying to pivot to be a little bit like ColourPop, to offer smaller palettes because that's in fashion. And I'm not saying that they're mimicking ColourPop, because by no means did ColourPop invent 9-pan color stories or monochromatic color stories or whatever. It's just that, why are you giving us this bland one-tone color stuff? Could you not put a gradient? Could you not put a pattern? Could you not put a stock photo or something on it? Just anything that doesn't look like the most generic stuff that you can find directly from the producer. Like, I've seen knockoffs on AliExpress with more originalities. Listen, Urban Decay Naked Wild West is old news at this point, but I'm still mad about it. I mean, I'm no fan of Wet n Wild, but I'm kind of tired of their lowest effort, neutrals with a pop of something, beating a dead horse, just reusing the Naked line as if that even means anything anymore type of shtick. I'm tired. So the sad thing is that looking at the packaging, this looked very promising. You had some very interesting gray top, blues, teals, a beautiful color shift. Like, I was like, Urban Decay is going to drop the hottest palette of 2021. They're going to bring their mojo back, and they did not. So this palette has the same neutrals that Urban Decay puts in absolutely all of their palettes regardless of theme, and a couple of teals. Absolutely nothing that you could not dupe if you already have previous Urban Decay palettes, and if you buy yourself a couple of teal singles. And if you don't have any teal in your collection, ask yourself, do I really use teal enough to buy an Urban Decay palette that has it? What pisses me off the most is that It's a $50 palette, and Urban Decay is doing absolutely nothing different than they did years before. Their quality is not much better than it was years before. Their color stories are stuck in the past. And I'm like, how many times are you going to continue catfishing us with interesting packaging and continue giving us nothing? I spoke of the Morphe branding earlier and how I said it's bland and uninspired, and I want to attack another brand for incredibly efficient branding that borders on catfishing. This is an older release, but I really wanted to talk about it because I wanted to highlight how important marketing is, how important selling a vision is to someone that is more aesthetically minded or story driven when they buy their makeup. Someone that is very sensitive to the aesthetics of makeup, not only just the functionality or what they can do, what the makeup can do for them. This KKW Matte Honey and Matte Mauves promo. If you look at the palettes outside of the promo images, they're just whatever else KKW Beauty has put out previously. Same tones, same things, only that it's just matte. But if you look at the promo image with the flowers, the fruits, the arrangement, like it's giving me story, it's giving me aesthetic. I was tempted for a full ass month by these palettes. You look at the palettes and you start to envision that fantasy self-life that you could have with them as a spring queen or a honeybee or whatever. It just hits me how many of these brands just depend so much on marketing and telling a story and giving us an aesthetic rather than a new product. It's absolutely amazing, and if you're sensitive to that like I am, you really need to take a step back and consider, do I really want the palette for what it can do outside of these promo images? If I picture the palette in my drawers alongside all of my other victims of makeup consumption, will I still want to use it outside of that context? And I feel that this question of, if I imagine myself holding it in my hand against a white wall, would I still use it, as saved me from many just aesthetic story driven purchases. Because these brands are sneaky and they know that they can just, you know, put a palette out, there you go. They need to sell us a story. Speaking of marketing, and this time just very poor marketing, very poor branding, is violetvoss just leaving their palette design in the hands of someone that's an intern, that's never done any design in their life? Because this is giving me very high school design project, and I mean this cherry palette, the packaging, the font, it's just giving me very I made a cover for my high school project in MS Paint, and for the price that they ask to give us such ugly packaging is absolutely absurd. You could get better designs over on Fiverr from people that just started doing freelance design, that have absolutely no formal training in design whatsoever. Atrocious. Milk is trying to reinvent the wheel and came up with these milk eye chalks. Whoever thought of that branding, again, needs to be taken out back and just shot, because why would putting chalk on my eye sound in any way appealing? They try to be eco-friendly, but apparently the product suffers from it, because every single review that I have seen has dunked on these eyeshadows as being exceptionally poor. So yeah, maybe try not to reinvent the wheel next time, Milk. And like, I don't know about you guys, but having a baton of something and just putting it on my eye just does not sound particularly pleasant. And if I have to use a brush to apply them, how are they different than any other eyeshadow pan or any other formula on the market? You know what I mean? Listen, I usually avoid talking about this man's releases because I fear that if I say his name 3 times in a mirror, he'll just crawl out of it, throw some slurs at me, and then say that he's not getting into drama anymore and he's changed, and make an apology video or whatever. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Jefferson Starshight's brain to come out with a fuck-proof mascara. with that packaging. Again, I'm feeling unconsensually involved in someone's kink. Don't even get me started on the promotional images. They are just way, they should have been left on OnlyFans. That's all I'm gonna say. So much for a mascara. Why? I don't understand why he tries so hard to embroil his sexuality and what he enjoys in bed with his makeup. I do not want to know about someone else's sexual habits and favorite positions when I apply my mascara. That is not the time to do it. That's not the time to be in that headspace. It's just the whole branding of it. I feel that he knows he's starting to become just a little bit irrelevant, so he's trying to come up with crazier and crazier and more sexual releases, because sex historically for him has sold makeup, but people are tired. There is only so many times you can pull the same shtick. There's only so many times you can do an OnlyFans / your makeup brand crossover before people just realize it's a gimmick. And there was like a Facebook comment that just was perfect copy pasta material. It went something like, Jeffree Star makes makeup for a certain type of person that has exquisite different tastes, that's not like the regular makeup consumer. And I'm like, did you just pull the you have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty version, but for the makeup industry? The gall to say, oh, a Jeffree Star caters to a very special type of consumer. What type of consumer? The consumer that will overlook racism and poor branding and tackiness and misogyny? That type of consumer? You really think that makes you special? Because actually no, overlooking racism and misogyny and vile behavior does not make you in any way more special than your average guy at a frat party. It does not make you any more special than, unfortunately, a lot of people. Stop with the excuses. At least be honest with yourself. Be honest with us. Just admit you just don't care. Admit you have enough privilege or enough peace of mind not to care. Just be honest with yourself. For once. Don't hide behind a veneer of his makeup is so good, it's so unique, not when there are so many other options available. Not in 2021. We're not doing this in 2021. Anyway, this has been it. I finished on a high ranty note, just like you guys like it. Please let me know in the comments down below what your opinions on these products are. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening, morning, second breakfast, third lunch, or whatever it is you're from. Bye.